In a society of constantly evolving norms and family roles, fathers are much more involved in bringing up their children today, which I think is fantastic. So this morning, in anticipation of Father's Day this week, we take a look at the reasons why with our creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush. We also going to find out why earning frequent father points is so important. Absolutely love it. I'm going to call it a Nikkiism, frequent father points. But let's get to the heart of the matter first. Why are we seeing this shift, the softening of the male role, if you will?
Well, let's have a look at history. When I was born, unlike your darling little boy a few weeks ago, my father dropped my mother off at the hospital and came back 24 hours later when it was announced that he had a daughter. Yours was not quite that situation. Yeah. You've been involved right from the beginning, as fathers very often are today, from conception right throughout their children's lives. They are much more hands-on than ever before. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't have full-time mothers anymore at home. 60% of women are in the workplace today. And that means there's a whole lot of shifting and changing of roles. And if nobody is permanently at home with the children, then we all have to share the parenting roles, burdens and responsibilities that come with being a mum or being a dad. And so I think that's a very sort of simplistic way of looking at it, but you can see practically why we are seeing those shifts.
It's a necessity. I found it to be an expectation. It wasn't just like a nice to have or something that I get to enjoy. It was an expectation from the start. To play devil's advocate, are we seeing then a shift to a harder feminine role?
I think women are, in some ways, having to put on their big girl panties and play in a man's world, or what has been, to date, a man's world. And with that, I think we do, on some levels, harden certain attitudes and behaviours. But on the whole, men and women are still biologically quite different.
Yeah. Well, that leads into my next question quite beautifully. When we look at the role that a father needs to play, and especially the archetype of a male role within a young girl's life. Why are fathers so important for their daughters?
So fathers really set the scene for how girls will allow themselves to be treated by the opposite sex for the rest of their lives. So this is really quite critical, mission critical. If you respect your daughter, she will expect somebody to respect her, for example. If you're not nice to her, well, then that's what she's going to expect later on in life. So self-worth, valuing self and self-respect are very tied up with dads.
Does that spill over into the male transferal of that same view on the world, when a father now passing that on to his son?
To his son. It does to an extent, and also remember, with boys, you are the male role model. So monkey see, monkey do, as I say. They will do what they see, not what you say. And so you need to know that those little eyes are watching you all the time. They're modelling themselves on you because you are it. So however you would like them to treat other people in the future, be that role model.
I love that, and men love that responsibility. We embrace it, and of course we get to celebrate it on Father's Day. So please soak that up, but never forget that you are just as important when it comes to the emotional intelligence, to the fostering of love within your child's life as well.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
So we've had a lot of fun a little bit earlier in the show, delving into the importance of fathers ahead of Father's Day. And we're continuing that conversation with our regular creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush, who's putting on her father's hat so we can earn some frequent father points this morning. Now, absolutely loving this. And we've seen the trend, as you pointed out, of fathers becoming and being forced or motivated to become more involved in their children's lives. Just a broad overview. Why is this happening, do you think?
So fathers are at home more. They're not only in their place of work, and they don't only come home at 7 o'clock at night. We see fathers on the side of sports fields. We see them in the school hall. They come to parents' evenings. They're at the birth of their children. Dads are everywhere.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And it does come with an added responsibility of looking after the bigger picture, which is the dad's responsibility, and of course looking after the smaller picture as well, those intimate moments.
You can't blame it all on mum anymore.
Well, this is exactly it. And we know that the dad is always guilty. Now, it comes with huge benefits, with massive rewards, as I'm discovering in my tiny short time. I know I talk like an absolute expert, but I feel like I'm learning life lessons every day. That's the joy of having children. And I'm beginning to think that there are going to be some really long-term benefits for me and for my little one to having a stronger bond with me. What would you say some of the biggest benefits are?
Well, I think as a dad, you're going to become bigger than you were before emotionally. So your heart is being packed full of these amazing memories, emotional connections that you're forming with your child, and that just, it changes you.
Yeah.
It changes everything about you. It changes your biology, it changes your psychology, it changes your emotions.
The colour of your hair.
Yeah, that too. So you're a different person today than you were 3 weeks ago when you weren't a dad.
Completely, yeah.
And I think it's about embracing that and using that energy to galvanize, creating this rich, powerful relationship with your child, because dads are that seat of safety and security. It's a natural thing as a male to want to protect. You've got the warrior archetype, and you create that, how can I say, that, you know, you embrace this child energetically as well as physically. You're there to protect them from the world.
And what do they get out of that?
Oh, they get that sense of safety and security. And when we're talking about these frequent father points, and I have to say this is not my term. This comes from
very Nikki Bush, though,
this
yeah.
comes from Michael Gross, who's the #1 parenting expert in Australia. And really what it's about as a dad is that you need to show up, you need to keep your promises, you need to create a level of trust with your children. So if you say you're going to do something, follow through. You're also that sort of seat of authority. I mean, dads are often connected with discipline.
Yeah.
And that's because they are far more happy to enforce than a mother. Mothers like to keep the peace. Dads are happy to be a little bit more confrontational, you know. So dads also are quite keen or better able to almost push their children to independence than mums who try and hold on very tightly to those kite strings. And I think that's why we need both mums and dads.
Oh, that role can be transferred, but it's an opportunity for all of us to get so much more out of that relationship as well. And it really does go both ways. It's not just about what you're giving to your child, but what they can give to you in an absolute abundance.
100%.
Oh, man, to all the fathers out there, we love you. Keep playing that more involved role that you are now able to do. It only going to get better and better.